there everyone, today I'm in Wicken in Cambridgeshire. I was actually over here the other day filming a documentary over at Wicken Fen, which is a big nature reserve just outside of the village, and it reminded me of a story I'd been told about an experience that someone had at Wicken Church, which is actually where I am now. I did come here one evening once before just for a little look around the churchyard, but I never went in the church. It's quite a big old place actually, very well maintained churchyard here. Really nice place, and the sunshine's certainly doing it favours as well. But I'm hoping to be able to get in the church today and do a small investigation, and if I can, I'll tell you about the experiences that the gentleman had here. I've just tried the church door, but it's locked up unfortunately. However, there are a couple of phone numbers for the church wardens, so I might give them a call, and hopefully I'll be able to get in the church. So I managed to get hold of one of the church wardens on the phone, and spoke to her, and she basically said the church is locked up other than for services, and they live a few miles away, and basically didn't want to come out and open the church for me, which is a shame. It does make me wonder, like, what the future of churches is really. I mean, less and less people are going to services, and it's, you know, I hate to say it, but it's more so the older generations that are, you know, go to church services and whatnot. And if churches are remaining shut for the most part, and, you know, not open for visitors even for a historical interest point of view, it does make you wonder what the future of them is going to be. Are they just going to become, you know, redundant, derelict buildings? Just a shame really. I'm not bitter or anything. But yeah, the story I was going to tell you, if I was able to get in and investigate, was there's a man that came here. I was told this from a friend of a friend. There was a man that came to do some work in the church, and he said the whole time he was there he felt like there was someone in there with him. Apparently he heard someone coming down the church tower, and obviously no one was there. He was alone in the church, but he said he definitely heard footsteps coming down the church tower. And he also said, I found this quite interesting, he said he heard the sound of what sounded like hammering and chiselling. I mean, I'm assuming he's, you know, a fairly rational man. You can tell the difference between sound of building work outside of the church and in the church, I'm sure. But he said it sounded like building and chiselling, so whether there is any kind of maybe residual haunting here of the builders of the church, I don't know. That's yeah, quite an interesting little story there, but unfortunately won't be able to get in and have a look for myself, see if there's anything going on. It's a big shame. I've had this problem a lot at a number of different churches, and it's not because of COVID regulations, because places are starting to open up now. It just seems that they're used for Sunday services, and that's, I hate to say it, it's not a sustainable future for these buildings. Yeah. Nothing against the, you know, the church wardens or anything. She's a nice lady I spoke to on the phone, but it seems to be the way things are going. While I am out this way, I know on the way back there's a place I've investigated before, which I might have a little stop off at, and yeah, just have a little wander around there, see if I can pick up anything. I've got a few bits of equipment, so yeah, I'll see you when I reach that place. Hopefully better luck there. So I've just arrived at the second place on the way home, which is in Dullingham, which is in Suffolk, I believe. I've only done 2 investigations here. From what I remember, there weren't any reports of hauntings. It was merely a case of, like, a fairly interesting looking churchyard, so we thought we'd stop off here one evening and have a little look round. Unfortunately, it is another church again. Problem is, when you look for haunted places in the area and places that are, you know, accessible to investigate, there's not very many of them. Obviously a lot of pubs and places like that have hauntings, but getting access to them is not easy and not always suitable. So we do find ourselves investigating a lot of churches and churchyards. Now there's a couple of the groundskeepers out here cutting the grass at the moment. I really don't have much luck with some of these places. It's just the way it is, you know. Especially doing these vlog type videos, nothing's really planned. I just rock up to places and just start filming and hope for the best. Today's obviously a very unlucky day. And I don't know if any of you saw the update I did recently. I basically said that I'm going to have to go back to doing 1 video a week rather than 2. And it's because of things like this. You never know what you're going to encounter. I may go out filming once or twice a week, and I can't get a video out of either of those. Just quite unfortunate, but you know, it's all part of the fun, I suppose. Now, as I mentioned, I only did 1 or 2 investigations here. I think it was 2 investigations, one about 3 years ago and one last year. It wasn't overly active, I must say. There was one instance that did stick out to me, which I thought was quite amazing. We were trying out a new piece of equipment, which was a electromagnetic microphone, which sounds a bit odd, and you know, we're always up for trying new bits of gear. But what this basically does is it transfers electromagnetic frequencies into audio. And you just plug it into a standard audio recorder. You get a little bit of like normal noise, speech and just ambient sounds, but the majority of it's filtered out, and you just get electromagnetic frequencies coming through. And if you put something that emits electromagnetic fields next to it, you'll hear like a buzzing sound. We set that up, I believe, on this this footpath down here. I think it was in this area, and we left it there, and it wasn't until we looked back at the footage, what it picked up sounded like somebody walking over to it and almost knocking it, and the footsteps just disappeared. Now, obviously by the sounds of it, it was someone on 2 legs. It wasn't an animal or something like that. Worried I'm going to get run over in a minute. It was obviously a bipedal animal, which implies it was a person. We were completely alone in here. No one else came up. It was just us 2. So that was really interesting. We've not been able to work that out. I've tested it out myself and just left it recording to see if it picks up anything, you know. Never had anything come through on it. Very interesting. We had a few unexplained readings on our electromagnetic field meters, which we perceive could have been some kind of interaction there going on. But it was yeah, fairly quiet, but it was that bit that stood out to me, which is why I just thought I'd take you up here today and just show you where that happened. So I'm just going to go and plonk myself down on the bench and sit in the sun for a little while, because we've had horrible weather recently. It's nice to soak up some rays, top up my non-existent tan. Now, it's quite interesting coming to both of these places, because I know they're churches and they're churchyards, but there's loads of them dotted around. It's why are some of these places haunted? And I've never been able to get to the bottom of that. Why does activity occur, strange activity? And to be honest, I think it happens a lot of places. You know, I think there's more places that have very low level activity than we know about. And I think the reason for that is a lot of people don't notice it. Even when we go out and investigate places and we're looking for strange activity, a lot of it's incredibly subtle. If you were going about your daily business, a lot of it you probably wouldn't take any notice of. I mean, there are people that will say we're looking into things too deeply and we're interpreting things to be what they aren't, but like even EVP and voices that are recorded onto equipment, or little voices heard in places, if you're there and you know that there's nobody with you, if there's you're very aware of the environment, you know that there aren't going to be any human voices coming from anywhere, and one appears, then that's impossible, essentially. Whereas if you're going about your daily business and you hear a voice, you will just assume it's come from, you know, elsewhere. There's somebody else there with you. So I think that the paranormal activity does occur far more frequently than we think. Obviously, when you get onto things like proper, you know, full-on apparitions and sightings and stuff like that, that's very rare. Even going out and looking for things, seeing something doesn't occur very often. That's very unusual. But it's you know, it does happen, and something like that, if it occurs, you know, during the day and someone sees something, that's going to stick out like a sore thumb to them as something unusual. But so I think, just, you know, percentage-wise, I reckon 80% of stuff is very subtle and wouldn't be noticed by someone who isn't looking for it. Now again, I'd love to be able to go and investigate different places, and you know, there's hundreds and hundreds of places around the country, and even in my area, that I could investigate. It's just I find churches and churchyards are, especially churchyards, always accessible. They've got huge history to them. They've got religious significance, so they tick 3 boxes essentially, which is why we end up going to a lot of churchyards. I personally don't get bored of visiting them and having a look around churches and whatnot. I absolutely love it. I think they're time capsules essentially. But I do kind of feel like I do too many videos on them. I hope you guys enjoy having a look around them with me. But yeah, I enjoy having a look around. I hope you guys do too. It's just, like I say, I would like to visit a range of different locations, but it's not possible, especially with COVID at the moment. It's not feasible to wander into a pub and say, can I have a quick film in here, you know. So just make do with what we've got. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. Yeah, it's not been my finest work today, like I say. It's especially the Wicken thing. I did want to, you know, mention about that little account there, because it's word of mouth. It's not documented anywhere, so I thought it'd be, at least if it's on video, it's, you know, if anyone else has an experience there, there's a reference point that they can go to and say, oh, someone else has experienced a similar thing there. But yeah, sorry, it's been a bit of an odd video, not a lot going on really. But I did want to get out today and have a little look around some places, and I thought I'd share some stories with you as well. As I mentioned earlier, the documentary on Wicken Fen will be out in about a month's time, so keep your eyes open for that. I found that fascinating, researching for it and having a look at some of the ghost stories and hauntings around there. There's a lot more going on there than I'd initially thought. So yeah, keep your eyes open for that, and I'll see you next week. Take care.